It's vitally important that you're able to recognize when your horse is stressed or anxious. Stress can have very negative health effects on your horse, from having them carry tension throughout their body to even creating gastric ulcers and even contributing to colics. There are some super common ways that horses display stress. So today I just wanted to cover some of these points so that you're able to recognize when your horse is stressed or anxious. One indication that your horse may be stressed or anxious is that they'll want to be moving. They won't want to stand still. So I wanted to demonstrate this real quick. Here is Tucker tied in the barn aisle, and you can see he's pretty chill. He's just standing out here. I'm going to put him in the cross ties and show you guys what he does. So as you can see, when I put him in the cross ties, he started dancing around a bit. So being in the cross ties is something we have been working on. I could tell that Tucker has always been nervous in these. We've been standing in here a lot just to help him get more comfortable with them. So the reason a nervous or stressed out horse will move around a lot is because horses are naturally prey animals. That means that just in their instincts in nature, they're designed to know they're being hunted. This means that they have a very strong fleeing instinct. If there's danger, if there's anything that poses a threat to them, their first instinct is to run away or move away. So if a horse is in a situation where they don't feel comfortable, they're going to want to move around or flee. So I see this sometimes if all the other horses are taken out of a field and there's one horse left in there, that horse will be galloping around like crazy. They don't feel safe because they don't have their herd. Another time I usually see this is if a horse is in a stall and they're not used to being in the stall in the confined space, so they'll start moving around and they'll maybe weave back and forth like this. And even standing tied, if a horse isn't used to being tied, they may be dancing around and moving around, and a lot of that has to do with restriction. The horse does not feel comfortable being restricted from movement. So when you tie a horse, they're restricted from walking away or running away, which can make them feel more anxious if they've never been like that before, because they can't flee the situation if they need to. So what can you do in these situations to help your horse feel less stress? So what I've been doing with Tucker in the cross ties, for example, is we've just been practicing standing in them and getting used to them. So this is a lot better compared to 5 months ago. Tucker used to be terrified to go in the cross ties, and he'd just be wiggling around and dancing, but now he does pretty good. So just like easing your horse into a situation, maybe they do have to be in a stall for some reason. You want to make sure that they are getting exercise if they have to be hand walked because of an injury. Another reason horses move around a lot is because they're stressed out because they're not with their herd. So if your horse has to be separated from the herd for some reason, like maybe they are injured or they just have to be isolated, just make sure they can see the horses. Like put them in a paddock or in a stall where they can at least see the other horses, and that should help their nerves a lot. Another way your horse may display that they're stressed or anxious is that they'll be whinnying constantly. So we've all dealt with these horses when you pull them from the pasture and you go to work them, and they are just freaking out and they're looking for their friends and they're whinnying and they want to know where their buddies are. The reason horses act like this is because they are naturally herd animals. So as prey animals, horses find security and protection in numbers. So that's why they live in herds. So in the wild, when you have wild horses and a predator is attacking the wild horses, the predator usually goes for the horse that's off by itself, kind of away from the herd. Horses do not like to be away from the herd for that reason. If you take your horse out of the pasture and they're displaying these signs of stress, it can be a good indication that your horse does not feel comfortable away from their herd. So what do you do about this? Well, it really just depends on the situation. So if your horse is displaying these behaviors because they're being pastured away from other horses, you want to make sure that they can at least see the other horses. The reason for this is because if it's a long-term living situation where maybe they've been injured, so they have to, be confined, it's best for them to see the other horses so that they're not getting stressed and not having to deal with the negative health effects. Now, if the situation is you taking your horse out of the field to go ride maybe, and your horse is displaying this behavior, the best thing you can do is really just try to start building a trust between you and your horse. The more your horse trusts you, the more willing they're going to be to leave their friends and go with you. So this obviously is going to take time to do, but one of the best ways you can build trust with your horse is just spending time with them. The more your horse gets to know you, the more they're going to feel more confident and comfortable around you. Another way you can help your horse become less stressed in this situation is just to start doing exercises with them that make them focus on the exercise rather than on where their buddies are. That way, a switch has to flip in their head to where they're suddenly going to be focused here and they're not going to be stressed out about where their buddies are. And I find this to be very helpful. Some of the best exercises I find are just like lunging your horse and making them move their feet. So I'll just show you an example of what that looks like. So one thing I do is I'll lunge the horse, and I won't just lunge them, I'll make them like change direction, disengage their hind end. This way they're just having to focus and think about something else. It's a lot of movement, it's a lot of back and forth, so their mind is constantly having to switch what they're doing. And that way the horse is really quickly going to be focused on suddenly what I'm asking rather than on the situation of where their buddies are. If you're riding, it's the same situation. You can start doing things that are going to get your horse focused. So this can be just doing a bunch of circles, changing direction, doing some serpentines, and I find that those exercises are great for capturing your horse's attention. Another more subtle and stoic way a horse may display stress is by grinding their teeth. Humans grind their teeth too, just like horses, and it's really just a redirection of stress. So instead of maybe moving around like horses like to do when they're stressed, instead they're just going to start grinding their teeth. That's a good example. Teeth grinding can also be a way that horses deal with pain and try to redirect it. And so it's important that if your horse is grinding their teeth, you have that in mind because it may be another health condition. So do something for me. Clench your jaw really tight. When I do that, I can immediately feel tension all throughout here and my neck. So when horses grind their teeth like that, they're going to be carrying a lot of tension in their body. I personally have mostly seen teeth grinding in horses that are confined to a space, whether it's like a stall or an isolation pen. Like I said before, this is often because the horses are just trying to redirect their stress and anxiety to their jaw rather than displaying it by moving around. So a horse that grinds their teeth may not look stressed per se, but they're definitely demonstrating it in how they're holding tension in their face. There are a few things you can do to help a horse that clenches their teeth. One would be an equine massage. I'm a certified equine massage therapist, and I highly recommend this just because it helps the horse release tension throughout their body. So if your horse is holding tension in its jaw, a massage can just help release that tension and help them feel more calm. So if you find your horse has a problem being in a stall, being confined, maybe traveling, even besides grinding their teeth, one tool I've found that is great to help a horse that's stressed out is the Kong horse toy. This toy is pretty cool because it has pockets where you can stick treats like this, and you can put it on the ground, you can hang it up, and what it's designed to do is actually draw the horse's attention using food, because food is a great motivator, and then just help the horse focus on something else because the horse has to focus on getting the food out of these pockets. He'll play with this for hours. So you'll see how this works for stressed horses, and Kong designed this specifically for horses that may deal with stress and anxieties. And believe it or not, me and Kong Equine are actually doing a giveaway on one of these hanging toys. So to enter the giveaway, you can go to the link in the description or just search the link here that's going to go on the screen, and then you can enter the giveaway once you click that link, and there will be instructions on how to do that. If your horse is stressed or anxious, one way they may display this is by widening their eyes and widening their nostrils. The reason horses will do this is because they're trying to heighten their senses so they can sense whether there's danger or not. Oftentimes if a horse is feeling anxious, they're going to get a quickened heart rate too. So I know sometimes Tucker has been really anxious or nervous about something, and I can start seeing his heart beat in his neck or like where his girth would go. And the reason for that is that's the horse's adrenaline kicking in. So as prey animals, horses get adrenaline when it's time to flee and run away. That's how they outrun the predator. So you can start to tell that your horse may want to take off if you notice the quickened heart rate, you can see it beating in their neck, and you're like, oh, something's about to happen. One way that both horses and humans display nervousness is by defecating frequently. By frequently, I mean that your horse is going to the bathroom every 5 to 15 minutes. Tucker here is definitely a nervous pooper. When I first got him and I got him under saddle, anytime I'd get on him for the first few months, he was using the bathroom a lot. Anytime I take him off the property in the beginning, he'll be really nervous, and so he'll use the bathroom a lot. Horses may also do this if they're in a stall and they're not used to being in a stall, or even on a horse trailer. You may find that there's a lot more waste in there than usual. The best way to help your horse in this situation is just to try and make the environment as calm as possible. Sometimes the horse will just, after a while, get used to the situation. Like if I take Tucker off property, you know, the first few minutes he gets to the new place, he's really nervous, but then after a while, he'll settle down. If your horse is confined and they display this behavior, just getting them out and maybe hand walking them or letting them get to some turnout can help them a lot feel less stressed and more relaxed. If your horse isn't eating, sleeping, or drinking, it can be a good sign that they're stressed, depressed, or maybe even sick. If your horse is displaying this behavior, it's important that you act fast, because if a horse is not eating and they're not drinking, that can be very detrimental to their health and lead to serious implications. So if your horse isn't sleeping, that can be another indication that your horse may be stressed. And just like humans, if a horse doesn't sleep, they may seem tired all the time, or they may even seem grouchy and start to act out. Horses need REM sleep, which is deep sleep, just like humans. And actually, horses REM sleep by laying down. So anytime you see your horse laying down, they're REM sleeping. So what I look for on Tucker is every time I come out to see him, I look to see if he has a dirt patch on him, because that way I know he's been laying down. So he likes to lay down in this really dark dirt right now. So when I come to get him, his white spots will be black usually. So if you notice that your horse hasn't been REM sleeping, whether it's because they don't have any dirt patches on them or something like that, the best thing to do is look at their situation and try to change it back to how they were before they stopped sleeping. So for example, Tucker here, he had to be separated from the horses for a while because he got too fat and he had to go in a diet field. And while he was in the diet field, I noticed that he was acting really sleepy, and I noticed that he didn't have dirt patches on him, so he hadn't been laying down. So once we realized that, I moved him back to where he could see the other horses and be with the other horses, and as soon as I did that, he started sleeping again. So just things like that where you have to find the balance of, you know, what was working for the horse before versus their current situation. If you have a horse that may seem a little stressed out, you can go enter our giveaway for the Kong Equine hanging toy by clicking the link in the description, and you have a chance to win one of these toys. So I'll announce the winner a week from now on my social media accounts, and I'll also email the winner that they have won. If you don't want to wait for the giveaway, you can go get one of these toys by going to kongequine.com/equinehelper. You can use code equinehelper, all one word, to get 15% off of your Kong Equine horse toy.